quotes. I don't think your heart's fully on Eddie Howe.
Me? No. I have said that I want Eddie Howe to the end of the season, unless we're out of everything.
No. I'm not doing the 0 points end of the season bollocks, bro.
No.
I'm getting the vibe. Like you, let me put this politically correctly. You wouldn't wake up crying tomorrow if you heard Eddie Howe had been sacked.
I would be going, who are getting in? Who's going to turn this around? I want Eddie to turn this around, and I think he can.
Do you know what?
Is anyone else getting that same vibe? He just doesn't want to say it out on a public forum here.
No, do you know what I think?
You know what I'm saying? The whole YouTube thing.
What if Chelsea win on Saturday? What happened? What if Chelsea beat you on Saturday?
It's another defeat. What can we do? Are we still in the cup at this stage?
You know what, Rich?
Are we still in a position to qualify in the Champions League into the next round?
Do you know what's been the biggest problem for me in the last 48 hours? The biggest problem for me in the last 48 I'll put my cards on the table. The biggest problem for me in the last 48 hours is what Eddie Howe said in the post-match. When Eddie Howe came out and said that there was good elements of that game, because there wasn't. There was no good elements to that game, and he can dust it up as much as he wants. There was no good elements to that game. My thing now, looking forward, apparently, I've not seen the press conference yet. Daz has just read out a few quotes, but it sounds, people in the chat, if this is wrong, Pete, if you've heard it, mate, it sounds like he's basically backed up a little bit on it. But what was interesting was I also saw that he basically completely disagreed with what Bruno Guimaraes said. And Bruno Guimaraes, if you haven't seen it, and he said it was a mess. We've let the fans down, we've let the club down. And my disappointment is the fact that is what I expect Eddie Howe to say. I expect Eddie Howe to, maybe not to mess, because he's not going to admit that as a manager, but maybe to come out.
That was the bit that he disagreed with. That was to be fair to Eddie Howe, that was the only bit of what Bruno said that he disagreed with. He disagreed that it was a mess. He agreed with everything else that Bruno said.
And he can't, as a manager, he can't say it's a mess, because then he's basically saying, I created a mess, because he's the manager, and it falls on his head. But my biggest problem...
That's where you get it. It's probably a tiny little bit of damage limitation there with regards to the ownership, like with how he's in standing with the owners. But I don't know, man. It just like I say, it just strikes me as quotes from a manager who, it's on that tipping point. As you say, if you don't get the result against Fulham, if you don't get a result against Chelsea, it's kind of asking for trouble. Therefore, however, if you do get a couple of really good results, it's kind of back on track. It's a real key point at the moment, because it could get pretty nasty if he doesn't get a couple of results in the Premier League. Because, like Andrew said before, if you don't, you've got to, like Villa obviously managed to qualify for Europa League, and even just qualifying for the Europa League, it's what's going to happen in this season and the PSI. If you qualify for the Champions League, the pressure then to continue in that vein, it gets more and more and more, and that's the problem. And
that's what annoys me, Rich. That's what annoys me, is because already we're hearing excuses of not being able to train the players. We're playing too many.
Exactly.
What do you flipping expect when you want to play Champions League football at the top end of elite football? You're going to have to expect to play every 2-3 days. That's what the best players do. I don't buy this excuse that players are tired, right? Because if you want to be playing at the top end of football, you have to play every 3 days, because that's what the best teams do. And for me, the excuses of not being able to train players, the excuses of players being tired, I just look right at you, Rich, because Villa have done it. And Villa have done it with Unai Emery, who are in a similar situation to us and have been able to manage that and just missed out on goal difference with Champions League football. So they were able to do it. So for me, it's not an excuse. It is not an excuse that is a problem, that he can't train those players, that he can't work with those players. But I'll just say the one thing that annoyed me from the press conference today, and it wasn't preempted and it wasn't brought up by a journalist. He brought it up intentionally. And he still made reference to the fact that we've lost Alexander Isak, and he even name checked him. And I thought, why are you in December bringing up Alexander Isak without the fact that no journalist brought it up. Journalists were surprised by the fact that he'd even brought it up, because it wasn't brought up in any way, shape, or form. Why are you still bringing that up? He has no excuse, right? He signed Nick Waltemada, he signed Jacob Ramsey, and he signed Anthony Elanga. They are his signings because there was no one else at the club to be able to take charge of it. They were his players. He paid the money for them. He has to grin and bear it. And I think that's part of the problem. I think that's part of the problem.
And also, boys, he doesn't want to use certain players that he's bought, so he can go on about fixture congestion, but he doesn't use the players that he's got in his squad. He doesn't change his team enough. And you say about the Isak thing, when it was all going through the summer, he didn't want to talk about it. He wouldn't answer questions on it. He didn't want to talk about it. So why do you bring it up now when all of a sudden you're under a bit of pressure? Like, it's convenient now to bring up the Alexander Isak situation.
What did he say on Isak? You can't just give us a little freaking teaser there, Pete. What did he say?
Basically, what he said is that the team is still reeling from the effects of losing Alex. That they were kind of pretty much the words that he mentioned. And Alexander Isak was obviously a big loss. To the and that was without the journalist saying anything. He brought that up.
That's Nuno, That's Nuno, where Nuno.
That's the only thing that annoyed me. That's the only thing that annoyed me about the press conference. I actually do think apologies. I actually do think that he was very smart on it. It wasn't obvious that he was putting it back on the players. He did it in a way that it wasn't blatant, but I think he sent a message to the players, because he talked about, well, what is mentality? And he said, in his opinion, mentality is having the right frame of mind to be able to do your job. So, and he even name checked it to be able to defend set pieces properly, to be able to prepare properly for games. And he reeled off a number of things. And I was listening to it. I was thinking, hold on a second. Everything you've just mentioned about mentality are our issues at the moment. So you're basically saying that the mentality of the players are not right. And a lot of fans didn't get that. A lot of fans didn't see that. There was a few that thought that he was just doing his same old Eddie Howe stick. But actually, the things that he was mentioning about what he expects from mentality are the things that we're currently not doing. So he's basically saying that the mentality of the players aren't right because we're not defending set pieces right. We're not prepared mentally and doing the right things in terms of preparation for the game, because you could tell the players weren't at it. The players mentally weren't there at the beginning of that derby. And he talked about a number of other things that have gone out of my head, so you'd have to go back and watch it. But
so this was on the second presser. So does it sound
this was today?
So is this a case of him backtracking on what he said on the first presser because he's seen a reaction to it? Is there a bit of that going on?
Possibly.
Could be.
Possibly.
Could be.
It'd
be good actually to get Martin's thoughts here as well.
That's what I want to do. Martin's one of the smartest guys.
You've gone through this before, and we know
you don't want my thoughts.
A sample. You give
us a sample.
You really don't want my thoughts.
No, I do want your thoughts.
This is an open forum, Martin.
Yeah, do it.
And Martin, could you also give your thoughts on? Do you feel that these guys are holding back as well?
I think Newcastle, the fans, the club are all in a bit of I think they're all in a fog. And I mean that in the utmost respect. I'm going to be honest with you, and I've said this plenty of times, but I'm going to hit the nail on the head. I think you've been sold a dream that was never possible, or not possible for a long time, by your owners. Eddie Howe is not. He's a very good manager. I've said he is. I've always said Eddie Howe is your Mark Hughes to us. We'll get you to one level and then doesn't know what to do to get into the next level. And he shows that already. Now, people are saying, well, I get Newcastle fans want him out. But if you go back over the last 3 years, and you lads will know this more, we've been here before. I watched enough Newcastle fans and know enough and watch enough to see patterns. And for 3 seasons on the bounce, Eddie Howe always goes through a little bit of a difficult time. and then it's get him out. You win 1 or 2 games on the bounce, and then everything's great again. And then in about 3 months again, you'll go right back to where it was, and you just end up going in a vicious circle. And after 3 years, if the same manager is doing the exact same sort of thing, the manager's the problem now. If I'm seeing the same patterns for 3 seasons on the bounce, then I worry. I think last season was better because obviously you got away with it because you had your cup run in the middle of it. But I can't remember, was it before the cup run or after the cup run? You went on a bit of a roller coaster again of results. And I think the cup run saved him a little bit. I don't think he can manage top players. I think that's why he goes to his tried and trusted people all the time. I don't think he likes being questioned. And now these are just me from the outside. Again, I question PIF again because your new chief exec or is it chief whoever's come in, you've now been told you've got to wait another 5 years.
I think he was going to say 5 years.
Yeah,
he said PIF and he said PIF and something else in there.
That was the CEO.
Just 5 years. Oh. Sorry, my internet's playing up tonight.
You're back, Murray.
My internet's playing up.
You're back, mate.
I'm about right. No, as I was saying, I've just put my Ethernet in, so that might stable the connection off.
5 years, Martin. You said, you said
you've
5
been told
years.
5 years. So, but what is it going to be in 2 years? Another 5 years? How many times are you going to wait? How many years before you get there?
Well, this time the project is 2030, so they've been more specific on the year that they expect.
That's 5 more years then.
But I agree with you. I think that you're more than fair in what you're saying.
No,
I'm not trying to be nasty. I just think
I don't think you are.
I just think you're being sold a dream, and I've said this to other Newcastle creators. I question how much PIF are in this. I question them. How much they're in this for. And then the other problem you got is, you're going to sack Eddie Howe, and I heard all the names last week, Mancini, Alonso, and all these. That's great. You do realise they ain't going to come on £4 or £5 million a season. They're coming in on 10, 12, 13, 14 pound. So you need
I can tell you Mancini wants 15.
Yeah, exactly. You want the big managers, you pay the big bucks.
Well, Eddie Howe's on 9 anyway. He's about on 8 or 9.
I've just read he was on 5.5, so I don't know.
I think he's on more than that.
Yeah, more. I don't know. I don't know. I find Newcastle very confusing because I agree. You know where you want to go to. I question PI. I'm not sure PAF want to go. I think they want to get there. I think they want to do it in their way, not your way.
Where do you want to go?
Oh, they want to be number one. They want to win titles.
But I don't think the Newcastle fan base want that. I don't know. I think you boys maybe correct my assessment here. I think you guys would be happy to get top 5 every season, if not maybe every 2 out of 3 seasons, and an odd cup competition trophy every 3 to 4 years, something like that, maybe more. I don't think.
Short to medium term, Wolfie, I just want to be competing. I want to be consistently in that top 5, and I'm sure the boys will share this ambition. I want to be consistently in the top 5, and in time to come, I'd love to have a title shot. That's what and I'd say that within the next 3 to 5 years. That's what I want. But we need back-to-back Champions Leagues. We need to be qualifying for the Champions League over the next 2 or 3 years. I
don't think that's crazy expectations. I think they're as grounded as mining of getting.
Do you think Wolfie, when they said 2030, they were talking qualifying for Champions Leagues?
Yeah, but the thing is, when anyone tells you they're about to sell you, sand to the Arabs, and they're going to do it to you in 5 years, they're always chatting shit, man. There's no business plan that ever stays the same. That's 5 years down the road.
No, but there are Newcastle fans who believe that. There are.
Yeah, but of course there's going to be people that believe it. Otherwise, why would anyone say it? Because they know it works. If you promise someone something, if I promised you, Martin, that I'm going to buy you a new car, It's going to be the best car you've ever seen. But you know what, bro? I'm just saving up now and I'll get it to you in 5 years' time. I know you won't, but people would think, okay, you know what? If I just keep this guy sweet.
Yeah, of course, there are always gullible people out there. I understand that.
My point is, Martin, is I don't think they need to have these high expectations, because their expectations are higher than what I think your average Newcastle fan is expecting. I think your expectations are more realistic than the club's.
But that expectation is what we set out from loaded when the first takeover happened. It was can we get to the point of European football? We missed out European football and went straight to Champions League, and then it was a case of can we build and do that on a regular basis? Well, we weren't able to, because we probably weren't ready to get Champions League the first time we got it. Last season we were ready. We built. We had a team strong enough to get Champions League. We got it, and we won a trophy in the same season. But this is why, and these boys will know it because I said it right in the summer, and I've maintained it all the way through. My priority this season for Newcastle United is getting fifth. Fifth gets you Champions League. We need back-to-back Champions League. If we want to be that team that David Hopkinson's talking about as be this 2030 vision, what we have to do is put back-to-back Champions League footballs together. Yes, we've had Champions League football 2 and 3 years, but financially, we can't compete until we're regularly getting Champions League football. Not even Europa League or conference even cuts the mustard, because the difference between Champions League money and any other European competition is significant. It means like, literally you can get more money from like the FA Cup than you can from Europa Conference League matches.
The issue is though, you can't have what you did this summer in terms of you had sporting director, you knew he was going out, you knew a long time he was going out, and there was no proper replacement. You let Eddie Howe do these transfers. The transfers were too late in terms of, having yourself settled and everything like that. The Isak situation went way beyond what it probably should have been. And I understand like both sides, but there's no way you should have had someone ready to go as soon as the other guy left. Do you know what I mean? To take over, to let Eddie Howe do what he does, which is just coaching. Don't be involved in the transfers and stuff like that, and let him do the business side. I feel like Eddie Howe, I don't know if it's arrogance or took on too much, like you said at the start. He signed these players, and now he's not using them. That he suddenly got Billy Big Britches, and suddenly thought he could do everything. But I just don't think the way that what you want to do, there's no other club that would have done what you did in the summer. They would have had someone already lined up to replace the sporting director right away. Do you know what I mean? Ready.
There's something.
No matter what you think of them, they would have had someone at least lined up, ready to go. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's an
but that's not PIF then. If PIF, and again, that shouldn't be happening.
Which goes into your theory, Martin, that I don't think they want to.
Sheikh Mansour would never allow that to happen at Manchester City.
Never.
He would not. We would not be going into a system where our chief exec was not in place to do deals. Never. That's criminal. That is way. That's in one of, I would say, one of your most recent time, most important transfer windows as well.
It's egregious. That's what it is. Totally egregious the way that happened.
I don't know what it was, and the other thing that I have always questioned is why do all these sporting directors keep walking out the door?
Yeah.
There's a problem here. There is a disconnect somewhere.
The vision.
Let's set the context.
With Eddie Howe.
Let's set the context as well, boys, because Eddie Howe was just after winning our first trophy in 70 years. Paul Mitchell thing was falling apart, and they allowed Eddie Howe the keys to the castle, really. And you have his man in now,
Newcastle
Wilson, who he wanted.
That's fine. No, listen.
That's thinking like Newcastle are a huge football club. You shouldn't be thinking, a Carabao Cup, right, here's keys to the castle. If you're giving him the keys at the Carabao Cup, what are you giving him if he wins you the Premier League? You're giving him the keys to Newcastle. Wow.
He's already got that.
But is there a little bit of an Arteta here, an Arteta situation where is Eddie getting too much power? We saw the whole Edu Arteta thing at Arsenal and all the team. Huh?
He's already got the power. Look. Let's be honest.
Is that why you're losing these sporting directors? Because now you got my boy Ross Wilson in. If he walks, like,
Wolfie, that shows you the power. He knows Ross Wilson. They're close.
They're boys.
They know each other. He's handpicked him. That's why Ross Wilson's in the club. He handpicked him.
Okay. So who the hell would sack Eddie Howe then?
That's why we waited to get his boys.
This is a lot messier than
this
is what we're saying at the start.
Eddie Howe isn't going anywhere. When people keep asking me on the channel, what do you think? Do you think Eddie Howe's going to go? Do you think he's going to get sacked after 2 games, 6 games, whatever? I'm saying he ain't going anywhere until the end of the season. And I said it on the show the other day. I said, if he does leave, it'll be his decision. I would not be surprised if Eddie Howe decides after this season, I think I'm going to take the England job. I'm a bit tired. Had 4 years at Newcastle United. It's getting a bit stressful. I'm going to go and have an easy life for 7-8 years and do a couple of back-to-back World Cups with England. That's how I see Eddie Howe leaving this football club. Not by getting sacked, because everyone around him, Eddie Howe's giving the thumbs up. He's giving the sign-off to bring these people in. These people, in my opinion, are not going to sack Eddie Howe. This ownership are not going to sack Eddie Howe. And I'm so glad you said it, Martin, because I've been saying it on this channel for a while. But everyone talk about these high-profile managers that we're going to get in if Eddie Howe leaves. It ain't happening. These guys want big money, as you said, but I'm talking transfer fees. These big managers want money to spend. And with PSR, squad cost rules, whatever you want to call it, we are not got the capacity to go and drop 200 million in every window, like the likes of Chelsea, Man City, etc., etc. These managers are not going to come to Newcastle United. So therefore, we're going to be back, in my opinion, to square one. You can have your Glasners, you can have your Areolas and your Franks, but for me, they're at best, they're a sidestep to Eddie Howe. They are a sidestep because they're, in all due respect to those managers, they're doing well at lesser clubs. And you've already seen from Thomas Frank, and everyone's getting on his back. He's made the step up, and he hasn't been able to handle it. He hasn't been able to handle it. And so for me,
will we do this as fans?
We'll be back in the same position again, in my opinion.
All fans do this. There's always a manager every season who has a breakout season and do very well. And then they get linked with every single top job. And then they're all like, so Glasner, good up-and-coming manager, looks good. Well, and then everyone just presumes, give him the City job, give him the United job, give him the Liverpool job. Well, when's there been flops there? There's no guarantees with anything in football. I'm trying to think of a perfect example. There was it's like David Moyes, for example. Great at Everton, was superb at Everton. Got Everton motoring, they were in the Champions League. He goes to United and his head span within 30 seconds and didn't know what to do.
Take that back. He's the best manager I've seen at United ever.
No, he is. He's the greatest ever manager. I'd give him a lifetime contract, Wolfer. But, it's not my fault. It's not my fault that they live in the comedy club over the road. It's not my fault. Jesus. They've never recovered from that. We've got to stop this flavour of the month and have a bit more deep dive, analytical thinking in what we're saying and when we're viewing things. People, they do it with players. Flavour of the month. A player does something great for 6 months, so now he's under £1 million and let's go and get him.
Elliot Anderson.
Well, I didn't want to bring that one up, but we'll get there eventually one day.
If I get a WhatsApp message from you, from one of your people, I'm just saying. I hear what you're saying, and I agree.
But it is true, by the way. It is true.
To a certain extent, I agree with what you're saying about this flavour of a month stuff. But my question back would be, so let's just say Pep left tomorrow, and you're not going to get this flavour of a month. The only other alternative, speaking of flavour of my week right now, perfect timing, but the only other alternative is get who? You're going to get an old head that's done it before. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, what's the hierarchical food chain in this?
I mean, well, for City, the plan I've heard long term is Vinner, but he has to prove it at Bayern, which is why he went to Bayern. Pep had a say in him going to Bayern.
Yeah, but that's
he's still a rookie manager.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's the one-off. I'm saying, what are you saying is let's use Newcastle as the example, because I agree with you. Iriola, look at Iriola. Everyone was talking about Iriola, what manager, and they're getting relegated this season, right? They went top and they're going down. So if that's not the managers that a Newcastle or a Spurs or whatever should be looking at, then what should be the progression path?
No, but that is the progression. That's what was about to say. They've got to do this, for me, in a 3-step progress. Eddie Howe, then go to a Glasner Ariola, and then you build to that.
So
but this is where I've had the experience with some Newcastle ones, not all, and this is going to sound... I've always said this, some of you are trying to run the 100-meter sprint before you're even walking down this road. You are trying to get there straight away.
Like you did.
So Martin, do you think that...
Well, we were under different rules at that point. Newcastle out, unfortunately, and it's wrong under the PSR rule. But saying that, these clubs voted for it. I did say it was turkeys voting for Christmas at the time, and no one wanted to believe me.
My club didn't vote for it.
Do you think that and Ariola are managers that can do more and take Newcastle to a higher level than How can?
Do you know what you need to do with Newcastle now? You need to find a manager who can consistently get you in the Champions League every single season.
And so I'm asking that question. I'm asking that question to you boys. Do you think Glasner and Ariola can do that?
Not big enough. Not big enough.
What, those two managers, Deji?
Look, you know what? What I find with Newcastle, I find it absolutely crazy. Apologies for my late arrival. Eddie Howe has done an absolutely blinding job. And what you're talking about is bringing in people who are pretty much the equivalent of an Eddie Howe. If Newcastle want to go to the next level, you need to bring in Champions League, Premier League type level managers. I would be expecting you guys to be looking like the Contes of this world. Do you know what I mean? That kind of level. No, but I actually think Newcastle have built enough of a foundation where they can attract that type of manager, especially if they want to kick on. But if you want to just do what my club is doing and taking sideward steps, wasting time and crying for a Carabao Cup, then Iriola is your man. Iriola or Glasner, do you know what I mean?
Conte is a two-year maximum job if you give him everything that he wants. Yeah. He is a demander. You give him everything that he wants. If he doesn't, he will sulk and he'll leave your club in a devastating position, a worse position than what it is.
But do you agree that they need a world-class manager?
I think they need like a Poch type manager, like Martin said. Not like maybe a Poch. He didn't say Poch, but you know the one that constantly got Spurs in the top 4, constantly got them there. And then they were waiting, they were ready for the next step, but Spurs, obviously, as usual, didn't take it. That's the problem. They need someone who can regularly get them in like Poch did. Doesn't have to be a favourable name, what it is. Just someone who can regularly get them. Remember, Poch was under
what is a top-class manager? What is the definition of a top-class manager?
Exactly, yeah. It's like, it's the same thing. What is that? We don't know, do we? People come in that we don't know. We didn't know Poch was going to do so well with Spurs. I know he didn't win anything, but in the league terms, they finished top 4. We didn't know he was going to do that because he was at Southampton.
He did nothing.
He was at Southampton the season before. It's just you. It's like anything. You just have to keep going until you find that person. You know what I mean? You just have to keep doing it. You can't always go for name recognition. I wouldn't. If I was Newcastle, I wouldn't touch Conte with a barge pole. Not at all. Not with the situation you're in right now. It is not his type of situation. He wants ready-made, ready to go, right there. Remember this summer, there was rumours he was going to get sacked by Napoli. He just won the title with them the season before. Remember, because they wouldn't give him everything that he wanted. He wants everything. You're not in that position to give everything that he wants. You're not in that position. He will sulk. Did it at Spurs? Did it at my club? Did it at Inter? Walked out on Inter, remember, after winning the title. So I wouldn't touch Conte at all. Not the position you're in.
So who are you saying, Andrew? Who are you saying? Because this is where I'm getting confused. I'm not saying
because we've gone with. I agree with you guys on flavour of the month. Is Glasner a flavour of the month? Do you know what I mean?
No, he's won trophies. He's won trophies.
I know. I'd say Glasner isn't.
But what I'm talking about, everyone favours him right now. But is he? Remember Amram before he went to Man United? He was on everyone's.
Yeah, but Glasner's done it in the Premier League, hasn't he?
I understand that, but does he still fall under that though? Because he's at Palace. Maybe Glasner is the right one, but
what is he doing?
He's complaining that Palace don't get him. He's complaining that Palace don't get him players.
As in, he's won the FA Cup, bro.
Yeah, he's won the FA Cup, which is fine.
And he's also got Palace from a mediocre. We finished 12th every season.
He's complaining that Palace don't get him players. Do you know what I mean? And
but you can see with Glasner, there's that football IQ.
Have you got the players to play a 4-3-3?
I mean, a guy who comes out and says to Pep, "Play like that again, and I'll clock you." That's just chest right there, and he did. It wasn't just talk; he walked the walk as well. That guy's got proper football IQ. Iriola, I think that he would, if he went to Newcastle or an Arsenal or Man City, he's just another Graham Potter. He's just another Thomas Frank. I think he needs that club where, if you notice, no one's calling Bournemouth out, but when Bournemouth were winning, it was, oh my God, Iriola, look at him, amazing. Is anyone calling him out to be so? Is anyone having a panel show? I know Bournemouth are a meaningless club, but are there any panel shows discussing should Iriola be sacked because he hasn't won a game in 10?
Because they know where Bournemouth are. They know where Bournemouth are in reality.
Yeah, they're too high up. They should be relegated.
I know this isn't going to happen because at the club he's at, but an Emery type coach is probably the level what you need. Do you know what I mean? But he's not going to obviously go because at Villa, but that type.
Where is another Emery though? That's the problem.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. But
it's like when Liverpool. It's like when Liverpool brought in Klopp, wasn't it? From Dortmund. Obviously, he'd earned his stripes at Mainz, got the big move to Dortmund, and then as it turned out, they were a perfect fit. But that doesn't happen all that often, does it? But it's bringing in that big character, that somebody who, yes, they haven't got the Premier League experience, but they've got the experience in terms of European football. But
if he wasn't England, maybe a Tuchel type as well.
Yeah, but he's got a World Cup. Like, we can say maybe this, maybe that. We got to be realistic with what can happen. Now, what I'll say is, I'm a firm believer. And by the way, your chat is brutal right now to Eddie Howe. Right?
We said that to you.
Brutal, man.
66%.
Pinocchio, this and that, the other. I've been reading, man. Big up to them. I love the honesty.
But Wolfie, this is what I'm saying. What are the for a start? It's not just expectations. What style of play do you want? Because I've also heard the style of play is not to the liking. Obviously, I know Eddie Howe likes his Premier League proven English players, homegrowners. We know that, even though his most successful players have all been from abroad.
Yeah,
which is the bit I don't get with him. The irony in that is crazy when all his top players are the abroad ones, but he wants to keep going getting the homegrown ones. I don't get it.
He wants to get
that's the right answer right there. NCL Fabregas is the next big name that's going to emerge.
No.
I think for me,
Fabregas plays beautiful football.
I think there's a lull at the moment with world-class managers. I think right now there are a number of young managers, up-and-coming managers, new-to-the-game managers who need a good 3 or 4 seasons in their respective leagues before we can say, yes, they'll be ready. Because, look, if you brought Fabregas to the Prem now, he would die. He wouldn't do nothing. If you brought Company to the Prem now, he would die. He wouldn't do anything. Alonso is struggling at Real Madrid, the step 2, too quick step. These guys need time to cook as well. We talk about players cooking. Bloody hell, we need managers to cook. But I reckon in about 3 or 4 years from now, the likes of Fabregas, Alonso, of that ilk, maybe even De Zerbi starts to improve. Do you know what I mean? We will know a bit more from Glasner. Then you can take. But there isn't anyone right now that you can say if they're in charge, they're gonna take Newcastle to the next level. And let's be real, the Red Tottenham, the Spicy Spurs, Scottsman FC, Red Hot Chili Peppers, they took a punt on Arteta. That was a punt. They weren't guaranteed to see the success that they're seeing. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just saying that we're all gonna have to sit and wait. Yeah.
What success has he done?
Who?
Just to put a top on this Newcastle chat, because it's been a great chat, really honest chat, and some great opinions all round from every one of you. Just to put a top on this, because otherwise we'll be talking this all day, and there's other clubs to talk about. Just last thing from me, in your opinion, can Eddie Howe turn this round? I'll start with welcome back, Rich, in the studio.
Eddie Howe.
We're
still talking Eddie Howe.
I won't ask us boys at the top because we've already had this conversation.
The hide, why don't you?
All right. We'll ask it then.
You're avoiding Wolfie's question that he's been asking you for 10 minutes.
Because you know what? I'll say this. After this conversation, a lot has been explained about Eddie Howe that I wasn't fully, clued in on. I'm of the opinion that you should get rid. I've changed my mind. I really have. I do not like a manager who thinks they're a Cloughie or a Fergie. It doesn't work in this era. He's got too much power, too much control. Forget what he's doing on the pitch. This off the pitch shit is too much.
Yeah,
I'd get rid.
Guys, because I'll be back. I'll be about 5 minutes, so I want to go next. I would say, be careful what you wish for, and the grass is not always greener. I think the job that Eddie Howe has done, especially when you look at, let's take a step back, the job he did with Joe Linton, the team that he kind of pieced together, he kind of built that from scratch, let's be honest. Yes, he's going through a bit of a hard time at the moment, but I think he's shown enough in there. This is not the first time he's struggled and then he's turned it around. I think he can turn it around. And let me say something even more controversial for you Newcastle fans. If you don't want him, I'll have him. I'll have Eddie Howe at Spurs. 100%. 100%.
Don't get excited by that. He would take Ange back right now after the beating I gave him. Ded, where are you, Ded?
I'm out. I'm outside.
You're right. You look like you're in prison, bro. Like with a little light on in the back.
Right? I'll be home in about 20 minutes where I can cook you good and proper. So don't you worry, mate.
Right, we'll go to Martin then. If you need to go, Dej, drop off, but feel free to come back on, fella. Top man. But Martin, can Eddie Howe turn this round?
Short term, yes. Long term, no. You'll just go back into the same circle in 3 months. So yeah, get rid.
Okay. Andrew?
If you want to progress, you need to move on. Do you know what I mean? You need to test. You're never going to know how good you are if you stay with the same people. Do you know what I mean? That's the problem. And I fear he will stay beyond this season because he's got his mate in. Who's going to fire him? It's the Arsene Wenger syndrome, isn't it? When he hired his own boss. That's what Eddie Howe's done. He's hired his own boss. Do you know what I mean? He's got all the power. He decides when he goes. You know what I mean? I'd be worried because I agree with Martin. I think this time next year we'll be talking about the same thing, rinse and repeat. That's what we're talking about.
Rich?
Yeah, I think what I said earlier. I think he's bought himself enough time to keep his job for now. Yeah, so I would probably stay with him.
Okay.
The only thing I'd say on that, Pete. Des is the only one who said they'd have him at Tottenham. Don't think Andrew would have him at Chelsea.
No.
I wouldn't have him at City. Don't think Liverpool would have him at Liverpool.
I'd take him.
Point proven. So there you go. There you go, really, isn't it? What we're saying is Eddie Howe is a middle of the road to the lower league end of the table. Manager.
Okay. All right.
With all due respect, Wolfer.
Well, let's wait and see. We've got Fulham tomorrow.
Whoa, no, Mine. Did you see how he tried to slide?
We are.
Nicely done, Pete. Nicely done.
Go on.
Okay, Martin, we're gonna have to take over this. I'm gonna start Chris. After this discussion we've just had, and it's been a very fruitful discussion. You've seen me change my opinion I don't change my opinion a lot, bro. It takes a lot to move my needle. Pause.
Oh dear.
Sorry,
Has anything that's been discussed tonight, Chris, strengthened your inner desire for Eddie Howe to leave?
I'll be honest, Wolfie. The last 48 hours after that match, and I'm basing this purely. I can't wait for later on to watch the press conference. I can't wait. But the last 48 hours, and I'm basing this purely off what I've heard or allegedly heard that Eddie Howe said. I have concerns, and what I said to the boys before earlier in the chat was, I need to see a change in the next few games, but consistently. We could beat Fulham tomorrow 4-0. I'm interested in the weekend against Chelsea. I'm interested in the following match. I'm not gonna if we beat Fulham tomorrow night or if we beat Chelsea at the weekend, I'm not gonna say, oh, everything's great, everything's wonderful. Like I am very mindful now that this has to be over a longer period. This can't be a quick turnaround. This is something that needs to improve, because I'll be honest, Wolfie, for anyone who didn't see it, that game on Sunday was pathetic. It was really, really, really bad. And you can see from all the comments how people are feeling. The fact that the players
I wonder how you're feeling. If you had the gun in their hand, metaphorically speaking, are you pulling the trigger tonight or not?
No. I'm hand on heart, I'm probably waiting until the end of the season. Because I don't think we'd attract the right person. If we sacked him tomorrow, who are we getting?
So you're Eddie Howe in till the end of the season.
He's on notice till the end of the season, and then I'll review when we see what's happening.
I'm gonna drag Daz into this as well. Sorry to take over, boys, but I need to know, because I can sense these things. I can sense these things because Daz has said a similar thing to you earlier on. Daz, you said end of the season. You're an Eddie Howe end of the season.
Yeah. Okay. What's the question?
Well, this is the question, because Rich started to tap into this earlier before he went and came back. If you were to lose the next 5 games, are you still Eddie Howe until the end of the season?
Yes, I am. I made peace with us not getting Champions League football after the West Ham defeat. I said that we're going to require snookers, one of which we got against Martin's Man City, which I wasn't expecting. We need to get the points against Chelsea. We need to go to Anfield. We need to go to the Etihad and get wins as well. Snookers that I'm not expecting, right? Also, that's to get anywhere near the top 5 positions, because we cannot win away from home. Coupled with that, he's still in the League Cup, where we'll see what happens with that tomorrow night. And the Champions League, we're into the knockout stages, but it's a bit of a journey for us. Something to keep us interested.
But if you lose the next 5 games, technically you're out of the League Cup.
Yeah.
Technically you could argue in a relegation battle. And then you're saying end of the season, which would mean as well you're going to entrust another transfer window into Eddie Howe.
Yes, the transfer window anyway. We've already said that he's got his man in place. The CEO is backing him 100%, calling him an elite manager.
Yeah, but forget them. I'm talking about you as the fan. You as the fan.
Yeah, I want him until nothing is possible this season, and then I'm happy to pull the trigger. Either towards the end of the season.
So you're right in the season
before the summer. Sorry.
So you're right.
I'm not right in the season off. No,
you are.
We can still get snookers. We can still win a cup. We can still.
Okay, do you think you win the cup?
Because I'm not being funny. If we sacked him tomorrow, we're going to bring someone in. Someone will have to come in, and then it's like a bit like you with Dyche. You brought someone in who you wouldn't necessarily want. Now I know you've only given him a short.
Give it Giggsy. Give it Giggsy till the end of the season.
It'll be Tyndall. It'll be Tyndall, Rich. Tyndall will get the job. If he was to get sacked, I guarantee you.
But forget who's coming in. Why are you putting
the job short term? Guarantee.
Why are you putting the 2 things together? You 3 won't agree on who you want as your next manager. So even if you did agree on who you want as your next manager, even if everyone in the chat agreed on who the next manager is, why is that the stipulation? You have no control over the next manager is. All you can assess is, has Eddie Howe come to the end of his time, in your opinion? Why is it he has, but only if we get this manager? I think it's binary. Either he's at the end of the road, Boys to Men style, or he's not, in your opinion. And what comes next comes next. You have no say in it.
I'll give you my answer.
Go on.
Look. First and foremost, I've said before, Eddie Howe's not going anywhere. So this is why I've not had this conversation, because he won't. For the reasons that I've already told you about the sporting director, etc. As much as any fan wants him out, he will not go anywhere. He will be in charge until the end of the season, and I'm putting that out there. However, what I will say is that I don't like watching Newcastle United. I don't like watching it. I don't like watching the football. I think the football's boring. I think the football's rubbish. I think the football's repetitive. It's not exciting. I loved watching my Newcastle United a couple of years ago, even though we had a load of injuries, even though we finished 7th in the Premier League. But you know what? We were entertaining. We were all action. We were all press, all intensity, all heart, all desire. That was what I resonated with my Newcastle United team. We got a different style, and I said it this time last year. I'm seeing a different way Eddie Howe is setting up. It became more of a possession-based game, and I understand it. He was trying to manage injuries, but it's turned even more so now. He is playing boring, just like layman-style football that I don't enjoy watching. I don't enjoy it. And we've got players that still only know how to play that old style, and he's making them play a style that's not suited. They're not fit for purpose. Joe Linton's the classic example. Joe Linton is fit perfectly like a glove to that old style Eddie Howe setup. He does not know how to play possession-based football. He can't pass a ball. So how are you expecting to keep possession when he can't pass a ball? So I don't like watching this Newcastle United. And I've said it before. I will call Eddie Howe out when I don't like what I'm seeing, and I don't like what I'm seeing, and I was absolutely disgusted in what I saw on Sunday. I'm not happy with it. It is unacceptable to have that performance on that derby on that occasion. I need to see big changes. I need him to go back to old style football, the old style blood and thunder. I need to see that football. If it brings a couple of more injuries, fine. Buy a couple more players because we've got the money to do it now. And ensure we've got a squad big enough to manage it. What we need to start doing is being more about attack than defense. We should never in 1,000 years be setting up to go and sit back in a low block against Sunderland. Are you having a laugh? The one team that barely created a chance in any game this season. Their only chance that they scored wasn't even from them, it was from us. And that should tell their own story. I'm sick and tired of seeing this boring, layman style football. And this is why we're no good away. It's because we don't bloody attack. We sit, and hope for a counter. But the problem is we haven't got good enough players in attacking areas to put the ball in the goddamn net. Gordon, for all his running, is rubbish in front of goal. He's absolutely rubbish. His only goals this season are from the penalty spot. He'd have 0 goals this season had it been Nick Voltemada was taking penalties. The only one that can put the ball in the bloody net is Harvey Barnes. And where was he on Sunday? On the bloody bench. It's an absolute disgrace. So, yeah, I need to see big changes. I'm not afraid to say Eddie Howe's time's up. I don't believe it is because I don't believe that decision will get taken out of his hands. However, if I don't see improvements, right, in his performances, I will be sitting here and going, you know what? I think we do need a change of manager. And I will be looking at potential managers to bring in. I'm not doing that right now because I'm expecting performances. I'm expecting us to win Fulham. And you're not going to see me here tomorrow night celebrating, yeah, we're through to the semi-finals. I don't care. The way I feel right now, I don't care. It means nothing to me. Semi-final means nothing. I care if we go and put the sword, sorry, Andrew, to Chelsea on Saturday. I care that we then go to Old Trafford and put the sword to those bunch of clowns, right, on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
Then I want us to go and absolutely tear apart Burnley. That's what I care about. Can he put 3 games together where he puts them to the sword and he wins matches for Newcastle United? Because if he doesn't, we'll be back here having the same conversation and you'll probably get a different answer from me.
So do you want him in or out or not?
Sorry.
Can you just modify that for us, please?
Well, my answer to you is if I don't see changes that I've just identified, then yes, I'm quite happy to have another manager. That's my answer, because I don't like what I'm seeing right now. So there's your answer.
I totally agree with Tony Timebridge. Free Anderson, totally agree. but free him to Manchester, not to you.
You're about to get relegated. What are you talking about?
Who's getting relegated?
You 115. 115.
Got some info.
What's happened to 115? Does it still exist? But in conclusion, so for those in the chat, well, let's wrap up this Newcastle. In conclusion, Pete is Eddie Howe out, Daz is on the fence, and Chris is secretly Eddie Howe out. So there you go.
End of the season review. Boys, I'm going to have to shoot, but absolute pleasure. I was not expecting us to talk about Eddie Howe for an hour and 10 minutes, but I have fully enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it.
Enjoyed hope this therapy session has worked for you, Chris.
Oh, mate, I need to go.
I feel like it's worked on Pete. I feel like Pete.
Yeah, Pete got it out.
Pete got a little off his chest there. By the way, Pete has got one hell of a chest, man. I gotta say. But
you've been close enough to it, my friend.
I gave it a little squeeze the other night. It is impressive.
Take care, boys.
See you later, Chris.
See you, Chris.
Right,
your next, boys.
Can we move on now?